and some of the things to think about is some of the great innovations that happened before. I don't know how many of you, hold on, know what this is. This is Colossus. It was the first computer developed in 1940s. It was developed to break the Nazi codes so that they can win, the Allies win World War II. And it involved the collaboration of government and academics across the Allied world. The interesting thing is, out of this came out many technologies, including programmable computers, encryption, and a lot of the technology that we use today. This is a GPS satellite, and it was built by the US Navy to locate submarines. Again, it involved the cooperation of tens of scientists across multiple disciplines, across multiple organizations. And as you can tell, this is now technology that is the basis of many, many products. And actually many, many companies are based on using this technology. And this is the moon landing, at least if you believe people landed on the moon, right? It was developed as a challenge set by President Kennedy. It involved the collaboration of private industry, academia, and government. And it has spun off many everyday technologies, including new material, new fabrics, nutrition, exercise, computers, robotics, medicines, you name it. And this is CERN. It is basically an international organization that was set up to understand physics. It involves thousands, literally thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians from tens of countries. By the way, Lebanon is part of that. And so many countries in the Middle East and Europe. And it has produced several Nobel Prizes. It has made major discoveries in physics, but also major advances in computation and other sciences, such as chemistry, computer science, math, and it spun off new companies based on new technologies of our new understanding of the new world. And this is the internet. And the internet was developed as a collaboration between the government in the US and the academics to develop ways for researchers to collaborate. But the process of doing that ended up producing what we know today as the internet. And I don't need to tell you what the internet has done to this world. But in addition to creating new technologies and new businesses, it also created new business models. There are different ways to do business, different ways to generate revenue, and a lot of the basic businesses that we have today are based on that. So if you start thinking about it, you notice that innovation really means new ideas. New ideas mean new technologies and new companies. And new companies means economic growth. In fact, according to the OECD organization, fundamentally, you can see on the graph that even in the worst of times, it's the new startup companies, the innovative companies that are creating jobs. Even while big companies are losing jobs, the innovation is leading to startups and leading to innovative companies, which are always creating jobs. So directly or indirectly, innovation is very important for growing the economy. So then the question becomes, what is common across all those innovations? What makes innovation work? And we know that innovation is a big driver for the driving economy. Then the question becomes, what does innovation work and how does it work? Well, first and foremost, innovation must be driven by a grand challenge. Something has to be emotional and very important challenge for somebody to drive. For example, the SpaceX project is driven by trying to make space travel commercially viable. And as Dr. Munas said, maybe it might be controversial, maybe not. More importantly, that SpaceX project is driven by a challenge to make humans less dependent on Earth and helping them find a way to escape Earth and go inhabit other places. So there must be a real deep reason and an outreach objective for innovation to work. The second objective, the second reason why innovation works, it is typically based on the collection of ideas that came before. Not all innovation has to be out of the blue. In fact, most of the innovation is based on innovations that came before it. For example, the World Wide Web was created by combining two previously created ideas, hypertext and the internet. In fact, the iPhone itself, although innovative in itself, is the creation by combining multiple technologies and multiple products that were there before. It was combining the phone with MP3 players, with internet and mobile phone technology. By the way, do you remember the BlackBerry? So that was one of the innovations that was built on. So basically, innovation doesn't have to be creating new technologies or new science, but it is more about how you combine those technologies and how combine new sciences to address the grand challenge we talked about before. The third one is technology is the result of really putting the right people together. In fact, historically, the most successful endeavors in innovation all create a clear vision with leadership that fostered collaboration. It's about combining science and business and social sciences. It's also about creating different people that can work together. For example, the transistor, which was one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century, came about through the partnership by a theorist, somebody who understood theoretical physics, an experimentalist, somebody who knew how to create things, working side by side to create theories that created results. And as you can see from this picture here, really Apple and the Macintosh and the iPhone all came because Wozniak, who's a great engineer, worked with Jobs, who was more right-brained and and a great designer, and they needed each other. One of them could not do the same thing by themselves. One last common theme about innovation is that it is the result of the cooperation, not just individuals, but also the cooperation between different groups. And for that, you have to create a physical environment that allows and encourages people to start working together. For example, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Xerox PARC, which was created by the Xerox Corporation, was a big lab that had hundreds of scientists and engineers and designers and other people all together working in the same environment. And out of that environment came key inventions that we still use today. For example, the graphical user interface that we use on Windows and Apple today was invented there. The mouse was invented there. And all of these things could not have happened had there not been a place where people were able to collaborate from different disciplines all the way together. So if this is what it takes to create innovation, the good news is there are enough grand challenges in the world to drive us. Think of the waste problem that we have globally. Think of traffic, think of pollution, the environment, and power. All of those are great challenges that should drive us to help innovation. In fact, one of my favorite sayings is, never waste a good crisis. In every crisis, there's an opportunity to innovate. So let's think about all those problems and let's think of ways that we can create opportunities out of this crisis to start innovating and creating new things. In addition to all of this, there are even more ideas that we can build on. You can start with the alphabet, but there's also innovations in chemistry. There are innovations in agriculture in ways that we can use foods in different ways. And there are also areas and environments where we can do all those innovations. So the world has tons and tons and tons of good ideas and tons and tons and tons of big problems. So now what we need to do is figure out how we can create the skills and the people so that they can take advantage of those crises to create opportunities and learn about all those ideas and implement them to create those innovations. And in order to do that, we need to really build the skills and encourage collaboration. And the skills that are needed really are also, just like collaboration, need to be broad. We need to think of STEAM. We need to develop science, technology, engineering, arts, and math skills. But we also need to think about the humanities. We need to think about writing skills, communication skills, emotional intelligence, as well as collaboration and creativity. You cannot do innovation with just focusing on STEAMs, and you cannot just do innovation with just focusing on humanities. We need to develop all of those creative skills and all of those STEAM skills. But we also need to develop the right programs. And for that, we need to think about the entrepreneurial education. We also need to create inspirational events. And I would say Dr. Muna's speech was very inspirational, and I don't know if I can match it up. We also need to create incubation and acceleration programs that many universities and many schools and high schools are beginning to do. Workshops and training, we need to develop a mentorship program, mentorship network, and we need to find ways to connect those people who are interested in innovation with research and business. But that's not enough. We really need to also create the type of place to inspire, test, and grow ideas, because it's not just about the skills, but it's about the collaboration and creating a safe space where people can do some testing, grow ideas, explore ideas, and not be afraid to fail. A place also where people can connect. And now with COVID, it's becoming more virtual, but even these are connected ideas. And a place to build a community to provide resources, whether it's technical resources, whether it's human resources, whether it's just a place to do the work. And the combination of programs and combination of spaces allow us to do all this kind of work to foster innovation. And if you start thinking about it, there are really 7 key success factors to make that happen. First and foremost, we need to make sure that we develop those programs with the target audience in mind. Are we trying to help graduate students to do innovation? Are we trying to help high school students to do innovation? I believe that we can start with all ages, but the different programs have to understand the program, the audience that we're trying to achieve, and the targets we're trying to achieve. We also need to create a physical space for that. And this is what accelerators and incubators and different innovation centers do. We need to create the programs we just talked about. We also need to find and cater our early adopters. We need to identify the people who are interested in innovation and help foster them and develop them. Then we need to start marketing and doing the events like this so that we can tell the world know about it, invest in our resources, and as importantly, put metrics in there because you get what you measure. By putting all this together, you can create an ecosystem where we can start fostering innovation, develop the skills, encourage collaboration, and create an environment to do all this innovation that creates new ideas, that creates new businesses, that creates new jobs. And by doing that, I'd like to finish off by what our president, Dr. Khoury, likes to say, was said actually back in November 2018. We have produced change makers and job creators for many generations, and we will adapt carefully but vigorously in order to do so for another 150 years or longer. I believe if we all focus on the key ideas we talked about, the grand challenges that we want to address, take those crises and turn them into opportunities, build on existing ideas that and technologies and innovations that others have done, develop the skills through innovative programs, creative programs, and focus on science and humanities, creating a space for all of that, I think we can achieve what Dr. Khoury wants to achieve for the next 150 years. And I'm excited to say that with Shabab Lab, that's one step in going that way. So hopefully that was useful, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Asfour. Your presence and interventions always add a lot of value, and I'm sure that your speech was very inspirational, and all the data and the knowledge that you provided was also very insightful for everyone today, like entrepreneurs, teachers, Shabab Lab participants, alumni, everyone included. Thank you so much. And we look forward to grow Shabab Lab together. I would say I am still proudly part of the AUB family. And now we're trying to find ways to collaborate more officially between Shabab Lab and the AUB, and really hope that this will see the light in the very near future. So thank you again for being with us, and thank you for directing the Talal al-Nadi Hazen iPark, which is a beautiful physical space that also fosters innovation and entrepreneurship, and that we are in today. Thank you so much. And now I would like to give the floor to Edi Habib, who is the co-founder of Anghami. He is also a proud success story, which started from Lebanon and now has spanned the entire Arab world with their, of course, one and only Arab-based music streaming platform, Anghami. and what else if not Anghami? So I would really thank you for being with us today, sharing with us some of your success story, and encouraging all the youth with us today to be just like you, and we know that they can be like you. So the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Hello Mona. Thank you for the intro and congratulations on Shabab Lab first. Uh, I'm not here to come to ask people to be like me. I'm actually more into telling our story and hoping that people can be better than us. Uh, we are a generation that was tried to build a startup, as much as what we can over the past few years. It was much harder to build the startup than it is right now. I hope with the learnings that the people are right now can do and will also get from Shabab Lab, you can be, you can have more builders than before, and hopefully you can do way more than what we've done. Uh, on the other hand, I want to talk about Anghami, about the story. I want to talk about simply what we've done, and hopefully you get inspired from what we've done, so you can do better, as I said. Um, we started honestly just on a whim, just because we wanted to listen to music. We had a niche. Me and Eddie, my co-founder, were on a trip and on a ski trip, and decided that there should have been a way to listen to music without piracy, and that was in 2011 when it all started. And I was a builder. I call myself builder, not entrepreneur, because I like to build. I like that word better. Uh, we left our previous jobs. My previous company that I had co-founded before, and it was doing very well because I was like intrigued by the whole idea of mobile, and we decided to jump on Anghami. That was how it started. We simply were convinced with our idea and maybe overly convinced at one point in time. People loved music. We loved music. I mean, we can't listen to music. There is an opportunity. And right now, again, it was 2011, 2012 when we eventually started. That's not what it is right now. Right now, there is a lot of opportunities. And I guess from the speech of either Mona and Dr. Asfour, there were a lot of patterns that were clear. Right now, building a startup is very easy. You don't even need to be a coder to build a startup anymore, because again, the technology made it so simple that you can build, that you can iterate, and that's great because you can do even better than how we did it. What we did is that we focused on talent. Talent is exactly what we have still in Lebanon, right? Without digging into what we don't have, we still have talent. And talent is not skills, it's not experience. It's people who are open to learn and to know to grow. We might not have a big R&D lab. Hopefully we'll have, but right now I'm not aware that we have a big of that. But the point was like we could actually learn, and because we're able to focus. So we decided to go back to really talent to university kids, just out of university, and we built Anghami with that. So for people who don't know, Anghami was not built with people who had like tons of years of experience. It was actually built with simple people, with people who were just out of university, and most of the people who are leading right now Anghami on the tech side of things were started as part-timers or interns, right, from university. So if they did it, probably can do it also. We simply run after, that big idea is like we focus on growing our business. And one thing that I've learned is like ego had to come last. How did we do that? How did we learn? Because of failures. Failures is something that you don't hear much about. And I feel it's a problem that we don't talk about failures because you don't want to listen to me talk about how we succeeded. The problem is if I can give you anything, is like I taught you stuff that we failed and that and eventually that helped us to succeed. One thing that I've learned and is that you're expected or you think that you're supposed to learn things, that's why you go to university. You learn how to build things, and then you go build it, right? I mean, that the whole journey. What we've learned is that the best thing ever is that that's why I focus on talent, not exactly skills, is that if you go learn while building, learn, build, that's a cycle. Learn, build, fail, but then succeed and build better. And then again, the cycle continues. So if you realize that all along, ego has to come last, because one thing is like people don't want to admit their failures, and that actually keeps us stuck to some particular place, wherever it is. And we got that problem, and we understood that some teams couldn't actually, get out of the failures, and some teams couldn't learn out of them because they want to get stuck on their idea of what they wanted to do. On the other hand, smart people are the one that will admit, that will build, and that will learn, and that is genuinely the biggest thing that I've learned in Anghami. What we've learned also is like if you keep on asking the right questions, if you're not blind to the statu quo, if you don't think that, okay, this is how we do things, this is how I learn, then we have to do it that way. But if you ask the why always, you'll do things better, you'll do it faster, you'll do it smarter. And for us is like, yeah, we built Anghami in Lebanon. So persistence has been, part of our veins, part of our blood. Uh, but we were passionate for what we did. I don't think anyone can build anything if it's not passionate. Whether, if, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at the times, I mean, what they had was passion. What they had was passion for their idea, and they wanted to build it regardless. And generally speaking, is like you'd have to understand that people will tell you you should not do that, but you still want to do it. And I remember the days when we launched Anghami, and I was doing pretty good in my previous business, and everyone that I told what I was gonna do, and was telling me, why are you doing that? There's Apple iTunes and stuff like that. So I mean, because at the days it was big, but it was big abroad. And I was like very focused. I mean, there's an opportunity. The region is big enough, and there is no one doing that. Clearly, eventually it paid, but not without a big coaster. It's like I think we failed way more than we succeeded, and eventually we admitted that. And I hope I get to talk much more about the failures later on. I mean, not today because we don't have that much time. One thing that we built is like, and again, it's because of the failures, is like iteration beats perfection. Uh, what is the iteration? Iteration is actually doing something good today, but then doing it better tomorrow. So the target is speed. Speed is more important than perfection. And to do that, you need to understand that if every day we do just a bit, even if we're quite ashamed at what we have, and I think the first few years of Anghami have were like literally I wasn't totally at all satisfied of the product. But I remember that if we actually had delayed building Anghami by like a few months only, Anghami wouldn't have seen the light. Because there was like many competitors trying to do something like that, but we weren't aware. It's only because we were scrappy at the beginning, but we got better, and we got better eventually until, I mean, my entire target today is getting better at things. And at one point in time, getting 1% better every week is extremely big, right? 1% every week is not 52%, it's way more, right? Um, so the other thing that we understood and that we wrote at the office, and you're seeing over here is behind me, is in God we trust, and the rest we test. That particular sentence is in our offices. It's meant to shock a bit in the first part of the sentence, but basically it means to say that, I mean, there's God, but anything else we're going to test, which refers to is like we will not treat anybody different than the other, right? So basically, it's not like me, the founder, will tell you something to the team, and the team has to actually adapt it just because I said so. Because no, there's God. The rest we're gonna test everything. Testing has been essential for us. is like because you can't just work on intuitions. You'd want to say that what works in our business. We're a digital business. We're not, we're not a billboard business whereby we or a TV business. We're digital. We can have different micro moments with users that are very different between one user and another, and experiment and validate our theories and actually get better with a segment of users. Once that segment is better, then we can scale it and we can get better with all the users. But we can learn bit by bit while being scrappy and then eventually get better at once. As I said earlier, it's not just about tech. What made Anghami successful was the concept that we've built Anghami with, was the business engineering of understanding that how we're going to actually create a marketplace whereby we have labels, artists on one end, and we have users on the other hand, and we're actually going to convince both part of the marketplace that they have to be there and they have to actually provide the music, and users will be able to get satisfaction because of the artists are being there, and vice versa. And at the same time make it in a way whereby you put in some debit and credit at the same time, and try to figure out how am I going to make that into a profitable business, because anything that you originally start thinking of without a goal of I'm not building a business to build a business. I'm building a business for it to be sustainable, to be able to grow, to be able to actually be profitable. To do that, you need to build on the right grounds. And generally speaking, I'm like a lot of people start, and a lot of builders that I meet tell me about idea that they have and that is somehow great. And a lot of times it's great, but they have no idea how they're going to make money out of it. And honestly, that won't scale. That's why when I look to a lot of startups that have you know started in the region, a lot of them disappeared. Nobody knew why, because they did not have the business sense. But even though that sometimes they have innovation, but most of the times you need the right equilibrium between both. uh, One basic thing that I always tell people is like, you don't need to look at ideas. Ideas are there in a lot of times, but they're old. It's like old ideas that we neglect because, for instance, we value an engineer over a salesperson. We think that an engineer is more important than a salesperson, for instance. Even though you very much realize that in a business, if you have 10 engineers and no one that understands sales, you're gonna flop. I mean, yeah, there might be one case, there are exceptions across the world that happens, but in most businesses, you need people that are able to sell, that are able to create a story around the business, right? That does not mean sales like, pure, the old type of sales person, but it means that someone who can create a story to inspire users, to inspire brands, to inspire anybody to use the service and to understand the value. So that's why, with time, I'm an engineer, I'm a software engineer. But with time, I realized that, for Anghami to succeed, I need to actually spend a lot of time on marketing, a lot of time on social, a lot of time on customer excellence, a lot of time on designing pixels and understanding all of that, and maybe way less time on actual code. Because if maybe I can find someone who can code, but it's hard to understand someone that when you're creating a product, you're creating it for users, for people. Computers change, computers evolve. People don't change. People's, affinities or FOMO or actually misunderstandings are always the same. So you need to actually use them to grow. And at the same time, that's why looking at older ideas is very important. So all in all, my biggest takeaway has been the team. Not just that you have built a team. Unfortunately, that picture is real old because of COVID. We haven't taken a photo in about 2 years. We're now right 160, actually 165. We're growing significantly. Um, but the point is, like, if you challenge the team, you can grow. And that is quite essential. And it's important that we keep challenging each other. Uh, and the last thing over that I want to mention is that unlearning is very hard. So all of you over here, young people, you're blessed with something you're not aware of. You don't need to unlearn old tricks and learn new ones. That's the trick and why we wanted to hire young people, and that's why I know you're going to do better. That's why, because you didn't have to, remove a lot and forget a lot of ways of doing business, but this is the new way. You're digital native, and you're gonna definitely be able to do more. So we created something, it worked, people liked it, and not just because they needed it, but because they craved it, because it's very important. That's why don't build ideas that people could actually turn around in small features, or just stop using and they'll be fine. Build something whereby people, if they stop using your product, will go nuts. And that's why you'll start creating the core fan base. Today, I'm proud that, we grew Anghami from Lebanon to across the Middle East, and we filed for an IPO, and we're going to be public in the Nasdaq in late August. We started from Lebanon. We started from a very small idea, from a very small office with a few people, and we grew. We made it simply because we believed in each other. We believed in our idea, and we kept on making it better day after day, sorry. And today we're on chapter 2. I'm very psyched that I was able to tell you, or very briefly, our story, but I'm even more psyched that you'll have the opportunity to do something better yourself, because you realize that you can only make change by creating it and by building something better for the future. Good luck and Godspeed, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, Eli, so much. I mean, I don't think I can add words on top of that. You've said it all, and your advice is simply priceless, especially for young, aspiring entrepreneurs from this particular part of the world, from Lebanon or the Middle East, who are striving to build something different and to excel in the world. And today we have live example in front of us. So I believe everything is possible. Next up, we have Mr. Roberto Crocchi, Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups Middle East. We are always happy to have you with us. You have been supporting us in several events now, and your presence always adds a lot of value to our hackathons, launching events, and other programs that we do. Simply because, honestly, we love what you're doing at Microsoft for Startups. Your support of impact-driven tech startups is exactly aligned with what we're trying to do, and with the pipeline that we are really creating. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mona. Thank you for having me. It's been inspiring, of course, listening to the previous speakers and Eli as well. I mean, it's an inspiring story. It's a great entrepreneur from the region, and this is the best words possible that youth can listen to, right? So people that have really done big things here in the region. So we are just humbled to support and to enable entrepreneurs, founders, and contribute to build this into a stronger ecosystem. So what I wanted to talk about today maybe is a couple of things, because you mentioned Mona, our support towards impact-driven startups, and so I wanted to tell you a couple of things, a couple of stories of what, for example, Microsoft is doing when it comes to sustainability, or when it comes to accessibility, for example. So real stuff, real thing, and the thinking behind how a big corporations like Microsoft, for example, is humbly thinking about these things. Because there is a lot of learnings, I believe, behind these stories in terms of how youth should look into leadership as well, right? Into how purpose and human-centered leadership and values can drive actions and can drive and can inspire probably also the next generation of future entrepreneurs. And even if you don't end up being a founder or an entrepreneur, even if you end up working in a company or corporations, for sure, organizations need fresh blood, but also fresh thinking on how to challenge current assumptions and how to focus on trying to solve for societal challenges that we are facing today. So starting from sustainability, for example, for generations, we have borrowed from the future to pay for the present, right? So, but now human society faces unprecedented challenges think about climate change, mass extinctions, or food supplies. However, it's still possible to create a future where everyone thrives. And building a more sustainable future will require putting technology at the heart of sustainability, but at the same time, we believe that also sustainability at the heart of technology. That's where I see from within that Microsoft is an organization that is committed to playing a positive role when it comes to sustainability, for example, because it's not only the right thing to do, it's really at the core of business. So there is a direct link and impact by doing or by implementing tech for good. And there is a direct link and impact on business. And by focusing on operations, products, partners, policies, we strive to reduce our own environmental footprint, for example, and empower others through technology. And this is at the core of the mission that Microsoft has, which is seeing a company that is really committed to harnessing the power of technology to help everyone, everywhere, build a more sustainable future. And we talked before about the link to business, right? So just to give some numbers, if you think about it, we contributed in a report where some of the numbers are like, if you think globally, governments and utilities alone are expected to spend around $60 billion on energy efficiency technologies and investments by 2028. Or think about another domain like agriculture. So precision agriculture is expected to grow to $12 billion in market value by 2025. Or think about now climate change and climate. So bold climate actions could deliver at least $26 trillion in economic benefits by 2030, compared with business as usual. So these numbers highlight opportunities in different economic systems, right? So if you look at energy, if you look at cities, food, land use, water industry, and this demonstrates that ambitious action across these systems could definitely deliver net economic gains compared with what we usually call business as usual, right? So generate new jobs when it comes to low carbon jobs in a few period of time, or avoid premature deaths due to pollution, or generate an estimated about $3 trillion US in revenues when it comes to fund that can be used to invest in other public priorities or reduce, sort of distorting taxes that we see all over the places. So these are all numbers and examples that show how important is sustainability, and our sustainability journey began a few years ago with the implementation of an internal carbon fee that served as a new mechanism for holding all our business groups accountable for reducing their carbon emissions. And the carbon fee was sort of an industry first, right? It sparked a sort of a cycle of awareness, efficiency, and innovation across the company, which probably persists today. And it has worked well to ensure that our operational carbon neutrality since 2012 is still there, right? So, and all of this, though it is important, is just the beginning of what we think our carbon fund and our technology can ultimately do to benefit the planet. So this is the thinking behind a big organization like Microsoft. So yes, you have a lot of power when you can put technology in the hands of every single person in the world, but that power comes with a lot of responsibility, thinking about what is the societal impact of doing tech also for good, right? But this requires a change in mindset. This requires hiring people that have a different mindset when it comes to looking at technology, looking at impact, looking at making a real impact in the life of millions of people, right? So if you think about, again, our internal carbon fee, for example, this helped us achieve three important things towards building a more sustainable future. First, keeping Microsoft climate neutral, if you want, as we grow. Second, also, the new carbon fee will also help us accelerate our progress on renewable energy. And third, and probably more importantly, the new fee will enable us also to increase our investment in green technology solutions. So if you allow me, in fact, I wanted to share a story about FarmBits. FarmBits is a solution that aims to democratizing AI to help farmers sustainably feed a growing population. And the story is a story of an engineer that came out of university as a student, right? His name is Ranveer Chandra, and he's now the principal researcher at Microsoft in India behind FarmBits. FarmBits, again, is a data-driven farming project designed to help increase farm productivity and reduce costs. Basically, it's a solution that uses data from low-cost sensors in the soil, paired with farmers' knowledge and intuition to help them gather and parse data about their farms, right? Informing what, when, and where to plant to drive the highest possible yields. So studies have shown the need to greatly increase the world's food production by 2050 in the face of limited arable land and receding water levels. So FarmBits seeks to offer a sort of an end-to-end approach, and gathering data from the farm is no small feat, right? Is not an easy thing to do. That's why the team is building out several unique ways to solve this problem using low-cost sensors, drones, vision, machine learning algorithms, so new technology basically, but deployed for good. And the story behind this, so the challenges that Ranveer focused on, started from how can we strive to make a difference in the critical issues of sustainable farming, or how could Microsoft empower Ranveer and his team to keep iterating on FarmBits till they come into a working system, something that we can deploy at scale to make sure we can have a real impact across the worldwide, across the globally the population. So some of the learnings out of this story is that Ranveer's and his research over the years led to a great confluence of expertise that helped him conceive FarmBits. As a student, he was attending a hackathon, and he had a platform basically to put his ideas into action. And this is how we can democratize innovation, right? So allowing youth and young people with great ideas, giving them and enabling them, empowering them with the resources to build technology in a good way. Technology can be applied in situations beyond public imagination. Farming is ripe for innovation, but the key is really democratizing it to be affordable, to be simple, to be relevant. That's the real key. That's where technology can play an important role in doing for good. At the same time, Ranveer's solution is embedded with AI, and AI doesn't replace human ingenuity. Actually, it can augment it. In fact, in this case, data and machine learning only work when they are paired with farmers' knowledge and intuition, and this is the beauty of FarmBits. So it's also about not reinventing the wheel, right? Instead, finding new uses for existing technology. Probably some of the speakers before were mentioning about it, right? So it's not necessarily about breakthrough. It's also about incremental innovation and using existing technology in new different ways. That's also innovation, right? So FarmBits, for example, sends large amounts of data using TV white spaces, which are plentiful in rural areas where standard internet connections are often spotty or clunky, and it simply doesn't work, right? So this was a story about sustainability. If we move to another aspect, which is more around accessibility, for example, so building for everyone. So we believe that in the past you had to adapt to the world, but in the future, the world will adapt to you. So accessibility can mean different things to different people. So for example, when some people think of accessibility, they think about, designing buildings and infrastructures with accessibility in mind. Or making sure that they are following accessibility compliance standards, both of which are great, but it's way more than that. It's about creating experiences that are better for everyone, and embedding that into the product development. So building products that are better for everyone and actually that are for everyone. So accessibility can be how people access the cloud from a technology perspective, or the ability to consume or read content from a school perspective, for example, or student perspective. So the key thing is that accessible technology can empower people in their daily lives and help them gain independence. Think about, as we're talking with students today, think about a diverse classroom, how inclusive education tools can give more students personalized access to curriculum and improve learning outcomes. Or think about the workplace. None of us is exempt of the possibility to become not differently able to access or to do certain things, right? So even in the workplace, it can be about striving to build a culture of inclusion where it's embedded into the fabric of the organization. And again, as we discussed for sustainability, even accessibility has a direct link and impact on the business. So it's not just a pure doing something for good for the sake of doing good. There is also a real connection and impact on business. There are billions of people in the world who have disabilities, and many of them don't fully participate in our economies. So accessible technology can allow them to fully participate. But there are reports and researches, and we did one, for example, with Accenture, where we have clear evidence that companies that embrace best practices for employing and supporting more people with disabilities, or people of determination, as we call them here in the UAE, in their workforce have outperformed their peers, but outperform also across real economic metrics, right? Think about, we've seen companies that have outperformed their peers in terms of higher revenues, or doubling the net income, or having higher economic profit margins than their peers that have not been adopting any sort of practices around enabling people of determination. And if you think about it, if you don't design for accessibility, you are kind of excluding a large segment of the population who could be customers or employees. It's like saying that to every fifth person who walks in your door, I don't really want your business, which is actually really counterproductive, right? So to put this in the context, in the word of our CEO, for example, Satya Nadella, who has been transforming the culture here at Microsoft, he said something like that: we are living in a time where we have to create a sustainable world, right? So he's talking a lot about this concept of tech intensity, which is equal to the increase in tech adoption, tech capability. And tech intensity can only grow when companies build trust, inclusivity, and sustainability. So if we are asking ourselves, how, for example, we as leaders, we can enable you guys, you are the next generation of founders, entrepreneurs, or leaders in the organizations, right? Are we preparing you to act to create a more sustainable world? Are we empowering you or entrepreneurs with the right mindset and skills, to fuel the social impact solutions and catalyze the change? Are we really driving a next generation of human-centered leaders that can become catalyzers, as we say, of social transformation? So we definitely believe that there is a plus, and you can become the champion of developing a new entrepreneurial mindset, and cultivate a sort of a value-based culture of being sort of servant leaders, servicing others, having impact. So alongside great stories of growth and profitability, it's way more important as well to see what is the societal impact of the businesses that you are building. And you are the actors, you are the characters, you are the main players that are, in at the right time to build that for the future, right? So, and it starts by investing in yourself, as you're doing with education, but also developing those skills, as someone was saying before. There is a big attention on building these soft skills, skills that are going beyond the pure technical skills, but also all those concepts of mutuality, of building relationships, of being a human beings, right? And embedding that into technology, into startups, into new ventures, into how we are approaching and looking at the problems that we see in society and trying to build on top of it. So the message is just a message of hope. You come with you have the time ahead of you in your favor, which is probably one of the few resources you can keep control on and decide what to do with that. So I'm really confident that with the investment you're doing in education, with the support that you're seeking through Shabab Lab and other initiatives similar to that, you are really doing the right investment to build and develop those skills, and building the network of people that can support you in the journey of building more social impact startups and building more purpose-driven organizations that we really need to make sure we build towards a more sustainable world.
Thank you so much, Roberto. I love what you said, and especially that we are preparing an AI for Good program on Shabab Lab for grade 11. So basically, whoever finished with us the pilot program next year, they will be exposed to both augmented reality and artificial intelligence. And I hope we have your permission to use some of today's footage in order to add it to the platform. And if we need to have more, I will definitely ask for an interview with you, because you have great repository of cases and success stories that we would like the youth to know about. So thank you so much for your intervention.
Thank you.
And I would like to say, before we move to our last and best speaker, we would like to everybody, if possible, to open their cameras so that we have a group photo. I mean, this is what I hate the most about Zoom, is that we cannot have a proper photo all together, like what Eli showed us before COVID. But anyway, we have to deal with what we have. So I would like to ask the team to take some group photos, and we will be sharing, of course, on our social media platforms. And we encourage everybody to share as well, and don't forget to tag us. Again, so happy to see many familiar faces. Thank you for all your support, for being with us. And hi, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. I'm glad to see you all. And now I would like to move to our, again, as I said, the last and the best, Ms. Sarah Abdallah. She's the best simply because she's also power woman, power mom, and a super role model for the youth. She is a political activist, and actually this is a good thing. And we are having a program on revolutionizing politics through the lens of technology and augmented reality, more specifically in August, with our partners, Friedrich Naumann Foundation. And I would like Sarah not to talk politics today, but to talk more about the other side of her, which is how the youth are lacking necessary 21st century skills, and maybe some tips or tactics on what we can do to bridge this gap. So welcome, Sarah, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, everyone. Glad to be with you today. I'm happy and excited about the program, and I'm like really confident that's gonna give the impact like we all hope for, like our like new generations. I'm gonna be sharing with you a presentation. But before we start, I just want to see your smiling faces all over like my camera, because I know we've been talking about COVID. We've been over like behind our screens for the last couple of years. We've been, especially in some areas in the Middle East, having some issues, but we always need to sustain our smile. So I want to start like with our presentation positively, since I'm going to be talking a little bit about the challenges we currently face, but definitely those challenges are only like the way to have a lot of opportunities and a lot of projects ahead. And therefore, the smile should always be sustainable, because by positivity and motivation, we could always turn our challenges to opportunities. So now I'm going to be like very quickly going into like our slide. So now if we want to look into the ILO monitoring report. So as we know, the problems of COVID is not only local, it's on a global level. Many people have lost their jobs due to reducing the working hours, and almost half of the workforce, according to the statistics done by last 2020, that they are at risk of losing their jobs permanently. So it's not only about the right skill set, but also we need to think about pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 whenever we are talking about the booming industries or the skill set needed after this phase. So if we want to look into what are the main challenges currently faced by professionals or by youth or by talent, especially like with a focus on the Middle East and in the MENA region. First, as we all know, there's a huge gap between the university and the market. It's not only local, by the way, it's really globally, because especially in the technology domain, it's moving hyper fast. And therefore, coping and the curriculum needs a certain bureaucracy at universities. It's not always like really straightforward to do it. So although it's present, but it's not all to blame on universities, definitely, because we need to focus on self-learning, especially from now moving forward, especially that in the near future, perhaps not like a certain degree in, for example, coding is not necessary if I have a huge open source repository. So this is a quick example. Lack of self-development, I don't like to generalize, but especially in areas where that face a lot of like perhaps social problems or political problems, we can see that the sense of putting priority for self-development is not always present. But we need this because without self-development, we cannot fix all the challenges that we have mentioned before. If we have problem to waste or electricity or even agriculture, all those areas, it needs motivation, it needs like self-development to be able to have innovations in our part of the world. Lack of orientation, this is definitely like an example of what Muna and Shabab Lab have been like doing for a long time, which is the importance of orientation. I could be hyper motivated. I could have like the best spirit in order to fix my current challenges, but I need to have the proper orientation. Which industries are booming? Which industries are going to attract investment? Which skills I need to work on myself in order to find my best place in the market and in those booming industries? So we need a lot of orientation in this regard. And therefore, we need to seek communities and we need to seek programs that would give us the community, that would give us indirect or direct mentorship to do so, and that would give us orientation. The fourth point is in some countries, and here not again to generalize, lack of access to needed infrastructure sometimes, like internet. For example, now I really hope electricity will not cut. So this could be like part of the challenges like we could face. The fifth point is lack of awareness on the importance of creating a professional brand. What do I mean here by professional brand? Even if I worked on my skills, even if I build a social enterprise. Eli Habib talked before on doing like putting the best business model to attract actually perhaps investors, to attract people who could put like their content on the platform, but to attract clients. It's the same if I am a professional and I want to attract recruiters. I need to build the best professional image for myself, part of it on social media, part of it through my CV and all of that, to be able to land the job that seeks my aspirations and potentials. So this is a very high level overview on the professional challenges. Now, if you want to focus a little bit on what are the entrepreneurs' challenges, because we need to map both to find the best solution, we need to know what are the problems faced by companies and what are the challenges of professionals to be able to find a solution that would feed both positively. So first point is sometimes, again, it's not generalizing on everyone, but it's like part of the statistics done by many organizations like in our region. Lack of dedicated talents. When we talk about dedicated talents, we have here two jobs. First, the companies who are able to attract the talent to have a high retention and productivity for the talent throughout perhaps a proper onboarding, proper development for their like employees. There is a huge part of building the right culture in the company. So if my employees got, for example, $200 offer additional one in another company, they won't jump and go into this company. So we need to have more than only financial benefit, especially when we talk about millennials and Generation D. They want to have impact. They want to be like many entrepreneurs inside the company. They need to be like to feel they are part of the change, even if they are not the CEO or perhaps the owners of the companies. And this is very important. The second point is the ability to cope with technology. So now we've seen many companies had to stop the work after COVID-19 because they didn't have the right digital transformation infrastructure or processes or designs as part of their like company's overview and processes. But many have now got the right, if we want help or right consultants to actually implement the digital transformation in their company. So this is very important as well, because it's going to be the future, not because of COVID-19. Now, most of the companies are going to remote work strategy, for example, at least 50% plus of the time. So we need to be able to work properly remotely. Third point is lack of efficient, sometimes product management. When we talk about product management and having the best product managers in the region, this is definitely an area where we need to invest more. Not only giving titles of product managers, but having really people who are able to lead innovations inside the companies and not imitate perhaps like other ideas, but be able to innovate, be able to customize upon the market need in our region, because we need to think global, but we need to act local again according to our market and the companies we are working in. We have definitely currently a decrease in investment, especially in the last couple of years due to COVID. I really hope that now, while having more vaccination, this is not going to be like a problem anymore. And definitely, as we discussed, there's a shift and like post COVID-19 for the industries. For example, health tech is booming a lot after COVID-19, whereas some, for example, tourism like industries could be like less active currently. So this is definitely a shift that we need to check. So great, those are the challenges regarding professionals and regarding companies. What we can do to actually have turned those challenges into opportunities. What can we do? We need to focus on people. We need to focus on technology. We need to build the best ecosystem to be able as well to build a proper economy. So when we talk about people, we mean upskilling, and this is what's going to be the focus in the next few slides. And technology, because it's the future. Whatever is the industry of my company, whatever the major I have done at university, I need to have a certain technological edge to be able to compete and to be able to stand out in the market. And definitely when we have the right skill set, we are using the technology, this will build a strong ecosystem and that will be reflected directly on the economy. So what's next? What is the roadmap moving forward in order to be able to achieve all of this? First, we need to reskill and upskill of our workforce. We need to focus on how to adapt ourselves to remote working and to build digital transformation processes inside our company to sustain if we face another crisis similar to COVID-19, how to support social enterprises and build partnership between all of them. We cannot go alone. If we go alone, we can go faster, but if we go together, we can go further. So this is what we should focus on, even between companies. We need to have more inclusive and like, if we want, collaborative spirit between professionals and between companies in our region. And definitely we need to have incentives, implement incentives in each of our countries or even in our like ecosystem in the region to attract more big companies, to attract international investment, to be able even to grow more with time. So if we want to focus specifically on the future of jobs, on the skill set needed, and here it's based on the last report of the World Economic Forum. So until 2025, we're gonna have approximately 50% of the jobs gonna be filled by human and 50% of the job that's gonna be completely automated. Should this scare us to say that we're gonna lose more jobs? Definitely not. The main point here is that although we are losing about 85 million jobs that are more operational, we are gaining 97 million jobs. But the point here is that they require different skill set. They require different exposure. So it's only related to our own decision. Are we willing to invest in ourselves to do our necessary upskilling to be able to be part of those 97 million people? Or do we want perhaps not to do this effort and have the risk of like being unemployed in like 5 or 10 years because we are part of those 85 million people? This is a matter of choice. And even in countries like Lebanon suffering from a lot of like problems right now, if we have basic internet, then we have the opportunity to do the needed upskilling. We shouldn't let something, again, demotivate us, especially in the technology world, especially that we don't have limits right now with remote work, with remote opportunities, with remote programs like the one of Shabab Lab. We are able to achieve what we wish for. So again, it's a matter of choice, and I hope we are always on the positive edge and like motivational edge of this scenario. So what are the top technical and people skills? Like, you can tell me, yes, we are motivated, now we want to work. Where do I start? How do I know what are the skill set needed? Those are the top 10 skills of 2025. Can we have all of them? We can never be perfect in every single skill needed in the market. This is why we need to have a certain kind of horizontal experience, but we need to be experts. We need to have, for example, if someone tells me, Muna, I know like Muna is one of the leaders, and for example, everything related to youth empowerment in the market and doing all of those, for example, programs and having a huge impact in the society. We need each one of us, again, we return to the professional brand. We should have a strong brand and we should have labeled ourselves in a certain area and a certain expertise to be able, again, to show our uniqueness as part of the market and our skill set. So if we want to like have a broader look on the needed skills, it's actually separated into two parts. We have the part related to human skills, the one that the machine cannot do, which is everything related to active listening, for example, everything related to analytical thinking, everything related to innovation that even the AI cannot replicate what the humans can do. Everything related to being original, to being creative, to lead, to think about impact driven, for example, investments and all of that. This is one part. The other part mostly is related to technology, everything related to AI, everything related, for example, to cloud computing, everything related to programming, to coding, to product management. Though this is the future. The future is about, even in marketing, for example, I could say that for me, marketing is only boosting few posts on social media, but it's much more than this. It's about data analytics. It's about science of data. So even marketing now, if I want to still sustain myself as marketeer or marketer in the market, then I need to focus on as well data analysis and understanding people's need and their behavior, part of the user experience, even, for example, on my Facebook page or my Facebook group. Looking globally, 50% of the global workforce will need reskilling. This means perhaps, and here looking at statistics, if I'm a company and I have 100 employees, if I would need, for example, 4 to 5 months of upskilling to have really return, to have a productivity high of some of my employees, perhaps I would let them go. This is depending again on the culture of the company, but this is the basic like business strategy of most of the companies. I could say, let me invest in new people in which I can do a certain onboarding for 1 to 2 months and they could start being productive, instead of investing even in my own employees if they need 4 to 5 months of being productive again. So that means in the future, from 5 to 10 years, many people who are currently employed are at risk if they don't do the proper self-learning and self-development to lose their jobs. And that means there are even more and more opportunities than what we have now. So the future is ahead of us. It's our, like, we can shape our own future. It's not really cliche. Since we are having certain problems, again, sorry, I'm not talking politics, but in Lebanon, our main problem is that we didn't take the lead and we didn't shape our own future in this country. We didn't shape our own career. We didn't like have a proper decision on what could be our major in the future. No one can tell you what to do. Really, you can lead your future. You can shape your present and you can shape your future. And I'm really happy always to work with the new generations, because I believe in you, that you would put us in even a brighter and brighter and brighter location. So this would be my last message for you. Again, I hope I'm seeing new smiles on your faces, because this is the main purpose, is always to keep smiling and to keep positive. And thank you again, Mona, for the invitation, and best of luck for the endeavor in Shabab Lab and in the program.
Thank you, Sarah. I mean, always valuable, spot on, statistics-based, evidence-based, knowledge that you share with us. It's always a pleasure to have you, and I want to tell you, always be the fighter that you are, and we are very proud of you.
Thank you.
So with that, actually, we finished the first part. We are sorry that it dragged a little bit longer, but I honestly couldn't stop any of the speakers because their words were just music to my ears, and I'm sure everybody's ears. And this is how we keep learning and exchanging insights and learning from each other. So I'm very grateful for all the interventions from our keynote speakers. And now it's time to actually talk a little bit more about the Web for Change pilot program, which we're also announcing winners today and the awards, and we have several of them. And I would like to hand it over to Yasmin from our team to welcome the school representatives and hear a little bit from them.
Thank you, Mona. Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure having you all with us today. And I'm really excited to tell you more about our pilot program. So working with 5 prominent schools in Lebanon throughout the pilot program has been very insightful. The supervisors at each school were of great support when it came to coordinating with the students and assisting them. So I would like to take this chance to thank each and every one of them for their incredible effort, because this wouldn't have been possible without them. And having said this, I would like to open the floor for them to have a small intervention. So of the 5 schools, we have 3 representatives with us today. The representative from ACS is unfortunately in the US and couldn't join us, and same for Rauda High School. But I will start with Ms. Shalimar Sinno, the Assistant Head of the Ali Ghandour Center for Leadership, Diversity, and Civic Engagement at International College. Shalimar.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, everyone. I want to take the chance also to thank Shabab Lab for this initiative and for today's event. So I will be as brief as possible. I will share with you a bit about IC's experience in Shabab Lab competition this year. It was our first experience with Shabab Lab. Would love to talk about it. So basically, first on behalf of my colleagues at IC, I wish to thank Dr. Mona Itani and all the Shabab Lab team for this opportunity. I would also want to thank you for your constant support and assistance to the students during the Shabab Lab journey. International College has a community service program where the students are required to complete for their promotion and graduation from IC the last 3 years of their school experience. So the program focuses mainly on capacity building and providing students with new skills that enables them to understand the needs of the society and to plan small-scale community service projects. So to ensure that the students become active agents of change, they are encouraged to develop their own projects and participate in workshops and training platforms. So having been a great success throughout history, the community service program at IC has fostered in our students a spirit of responsibility, creativity, citizenship, and social responsibility, in addition to developing their values of integrity, service, and respect for individual differences. The students of IC coming from these different community service programs, such as the pre-CAS and CAS program, which is the Creativity, Activity, and Service program, and the Ali Ghandour Center for Leadership, Diversity, and Civic Engagement program. We found that Shabab Lab competition is a chance for them to develop their skills and acquire new ones, while at the same time working on a social, environmental project within the limited options they have during the COVID-19 pandemic. So basically, being completely optional for CAS students and obligatory for Ali Ghandour students, the idea of an asynchronous virtual platform was more promising for them, given that they were operating online and under confinement. So the urge to learn more, to acquire new skills, and to engage in community service projects, yet abide by the online schooling measures, were fully respected and combined in the Shabab Lab Web for Change competition. So it came as if it came, it's a gift, honestly, during that period of time with the students. And the IZ students have enjoyed the content of the modules, and most importantly, their launching of their own websites tackling an environmental issue. So despite the fact that some of the students were more interested in addressing issues other than environmental, yet they are grateful for building their first steps in becoming social entrepreneurs. The platform has provided the students the drive in connecting with the world outside campus, develop and enhance their social innovation skills, yet obtaining the know-how in using technology to help their community and the world outside campus. In addition to that, the short time frame was quite challenging for the students, and they argued that they could have done so much better. However, it was still stimulating for them and taught them how to work under pressure within a limited time frame. So their motto during this competition was mainly to have a small impact rather than to have no impact at all. So we, longing the quality of the program and the potential that it has, the program will ensure many more success stories as it starts earlier next year, and have the advisors trained and prepared to follow up with the students on the modules and their projects. In addition to that, we believe giving the students the opportunity to choose their issue of interest, they will feel more connected to their community. And the more SDGs are tackled by our youth, we see the more impact this generation will have on the future of the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shabab Lab.
Thank you so much. Your support has been amazing all throughout the process, and I really thank you for being with us today. And I'm really excited to have more collaborations with you as we go. Hopefully next year there will be not just environmental problems being solved, but also social problems through our AI and VR course that we will be integrating. And now we will move to Mr. Shabab Lab, the secondary school supervisor and community service coordinator at Brumana High School.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Haitani. Thank you, Yasmin. Well, it is with great joy that I speak today after a very successful year with Shabab Lab. I think the expression Mrs. Haitani used at the beginning when she said thrilled, that really expresses our feelings today. To start with, as Yasmin said, I am Shabab Lab, the secondary school supervisor and the community service coordinator at Brumana High School. Shabab Lab was truly a great add-on to our scholastic year. Our motto here at BHS is I serve, thus helping each and every student to become an active member in his community and caring for others and trying to change the world, to help the world wherever he is, even when he's at home locked because of a pandemic. And thanks to Shabab Lab, our students were not only able to do the needed community service and help their community remotely from their own houses, but they are also now small entrepreneurs, small innovators. Shabab Lab introduced them to a world that they are going to face, and to face not only in a passive way, not only to be a certain individual between many in the world, but to be very active changers, to become people who care to change society in a very good way. I think this is what we need here in Lebanon at the time being, more than anything else. We need people to do change, to be active, to be innovative. So on behalf of our school, of our students, we thank you, Mona, and the whole Shabab Lab team for the great effort you are putting on the project, and we are surely looking forward to more collaborations in the coming years. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shabab. Your presence and the students of Brumana High School's presence has been of great added value to Shabab Lab, and we thank you a lot for being here and being with us on the journey. Next, it is our pleasure to host Mrs. Nada Saer, the head of first secondary and second secondary for the Lebanese bac at Collège de Saint-Cœur Ain Najm.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Aitani. Thank you, Ms. Yasmin. First of all, I am here on behalf of my colleagues. Present with us is Ms. Carla Sfer, and also on behalf of the students of Saint-Cœur Ain Najm, who are also present here. So I would like to start by thanking you for the great opportunity that this program gave to our youth to actually see that despite their young age, they can actually contribute effectively in making the country and the world a better place. I will talk, if you want, in my intervention about two sides, the added value that the program gave us as advisors, and of course, for the students. First of all, thank you for all the guidance. Personally, I had no idea of what entrepreneurship or how to actually come up with a whole program and develop it. It was through following a little bit of the courses that I could actually have a broader idea of it. As for the students, I can tell you that it was a huge eye-opener for them. Of course, this was not quite an ordinary year. It was very challenging for them, for everyone. But despite all the constraints and against all the odds, they could do it. And that's the beauty of it, because they are young and still they know the importance of the SDGs and of implementing them in today's society. Now, the content, if I may say, of the program is very professionally prepared and displayed, guiding the students step by step into how, into elaborating their program in a very professional way. But honestly, the content is really well prepared, but also there was work on the 21st century skills. The students did not only learn about design thinking and pitching, they also worked in groups, they negotiated, they solved problems, they designed their webpage, they worked on their pitch. So the program allowed them to have the tools and the content and the knowledge together combined to have their program. Of course, before the program, the students had an idea about entrepreneurship, but it was not until they enrolled in the program that they had, if you want, the practicum of how to come up with it and how to implement the SDGs in their community, especially that we live in a country where a lot is needed and a lot of ideas are welcomed and a lot of work can be done. So yes, they are young, it's true, but they are full of ambitions, of dreams, of bright ideas. Once they are given the chance to shine, they will grab this opportunity. So thank you, AUB, Riyadh for Innovation, Shabab Lab for showing us through our students in all the schools, and particularly in our school, that a brighter future is lying ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Nada. Thank you so much, Nada. The support and interest that we got from the whole Sanker team has been really unmatched, and we really appreciate all your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, finally, we will now announce the winners of the Shabab Lab Web for Change pilot program. In addition to announcing the top 3 winners of the whole program, we will announce the top 3 winners in each school for schools who had more than 10 teams, which are International College Romana High School and Collège de Sanker Ain Najm. So the American Community School and Rauda High School had less than 10 teams. That's why they won't be mentioned in the top 3 of each school. We will also announce the Honorable Mention Awards and the winners of the 5 Impact Awards. We will start with the Impact Awards, which will be presented by my colleague, Sarah. Sarah will announce who won the Most Creative Idea Award, the Best Pitch Award, the Best Business Model Award, and a Circular Economy Award. And over to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Yasmin. Hi, everyone. So we will start with the Most Creative Idea Award. And this award goes to from IC, EcoTrendy, an e-commerce website that promotes slow fashion and sells recycled clothes. Congratulations, EcoTrendy. The next award we have is the Best Pitch Award, and that will go for the Sanker Ain Najm Wassi, an e-commerce website that sells food for a low price instead of throwing it away. Mabrouk. The next award is the Best Business Model Award, and it goes for ACS, Panels for Lab, an initiative that aims to raise funds to install solar panels in underprivileged areas in Lebanon. Next, we have the Most Impactful Project Award, and this award goes from IC, Binwarm, an e-commerce website where users can sell food to organizations specialized in composting it and turning it into fertilizers. Congratulations, Binwarm. Last but not least, we have the Circular Economy Award, and this award goes for Rauda High School Ecoplastic, an e-learning and e-commerce website that raises awareness about plastic pollution, reduces it, and allows users to sell their unwanted plastic to target industries. Congratulations. Congrats to all the teams. And now I will forward to Rawad.
Okay, so the third place winner for, we will start with the IC school. The third place winners are Charge and Go, an e-commerce website that sells extra food in different categories. So congrats to Charge and Go. The second place will go to EcoTrendy, an e-commerce website that promotes slow fashion and selling recycled clothes. So congrats. Next, we'll be moving to Bromana High School. And in the third place, go Can to Plan, an e-learning website that teaches the youth various ways they can use recycled aluminum cans. And in the second place goes EcoClub, an e-commerce website that sells eco-friendly products to help protect the environment. Congrats. And the third school is the Collège de Sanker Ain Najm. In the third place, there is Wasif, an e-commerce website to sell food for low pricing instead of throwing it away. And in the second place goes Aqua Generation, an e-learning website to fight water waste and spread awareness among teenagers. So congrats for all the winners. And now I will give the talk to my colleague, Wasim.
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, so as for the honorable mentions, first of all, the first one goes to a team from ACS, and this team is Panels for a Lab. It's an initiative to raise funds to install solar panels in underprivileged areas in Lebanon. Good work, you guys. You actually did great in the pitch. Okay, as for the second team, the second honorable mention, it's actually from Rauda, and it goes to Ecoplastic. It's an e-learning and e-commerce website. It raises awareness about plastic pollution and encourages the users to sell the plastic they collect to industries. Good job. Now I'll give my floor back to you. Rawad.
Okay, I believe now we have the top 3 winners for the program, who so happened actually to be the top winners from each of the schools. And I will start with the 3rd place. And by the way, we have promised that we will be awarding cash awards. And we decided that it will be $50 per person in each of the 3 teams. So all the awards are equal, although we are presenting 3rd, 2nd, and 1st, but you guys, all of you will get equal amounts. And hopefully in the future, it won't just be a cash awards, it will also be lots of in-kind awards from different tech sponsors in the region. So we are working to make this competition an annual sustainable one, where we have also sponsors that would help us make this an internationally recognizable competition, where we add a lot of motivation to the youth who are making change in the world. So without further ado, I would like to wholeheartedly congratulate the 3rd place winner in the program, where again, each one of you will be getting $50 in awards. And these are Pro Reserves from International College. Congratulations, Razan Mhanna, Naya Rahal, Yara Kharrat, who actually built an interactive website that has information on all Lebanese reserves, such as the area, the flora, and the fauna. Congratulations, Pro Reserved, very well deserved. 2nd place, with the same award as well, $50 per student per team, goes to Bromana High School. Carl Sadiq, Richard Sroor, and Ryan Farah worked on Fertilizer, which is a device that will be taking advantage of human urine and its potential to replace chemical fertilizers in a unique urine recycling process. They didn't only work on a website, but actually on a physical prototype, which was beyond what we expected or what we taught them in the program. You impressed us, guys, so really well done. And for the 1st place, and I would like to say that the 1st and 2nd place winners had really very close scores. We have the Litani cleanup team. From College Sankara and Najm, Gael Aid, Lynn Francis, Mary Jane Khouri, and Ralph Khalid, they created an interactive website that raises awareness and gathers the Litani community by participating in monthly scheduled cleanups. And on that note, I will be sharing with you a small video that shows you the very small part of the pitches of the 3 winning teams.
So, in order to solve the problem, we came up with a community website. The Litani Cleanup is a planned and interactive program that raises awareness and gathers the Litani community by participating in scheduled monthly cleanups.
And that's why I'm here today to present to you Fertilizer. We will be taking advantage of human urine and its potential to replace chemical fertilizer in our unique urine recycling process. The first step you have to do is contact us through our website to get your P-cycler or urine diverting toilet installed. These will separate urine from feces, allowing us to collect your urine, apply an alkaline dehydration process, and be left with a concentrated solid fertilizer that we will be commercializing for cheap prices.
To solve this important problem, we decided to create a web portal. ProReserves has information on the area, flora, fauna, and trails of all Lebanese reserves. Furthermore, the reserves products are listed on our e-commerce platform and linked to a shopping cart. Once something is ordered, the reserve receives a notification in order to prepare the package for delivery.
So again, congratulations everyone on this great achievement. And we have one person, Yusuf, who would also like to congratulate the teams. We met Yusuf recently. He is based in the US. He is a Jordanian citizen who was, like you guys, an enthusiastic young person who wants to make change. And he decided to immigrate in order to create a startup and to work on his dreams, but he's always still helping Arab youth in their journey of not just entrepreneurship, but innovation in general. And we will be partnering soon to create a video series on Shabab Lab on maker spaces, as this is also one of his initiatives. So Yusuf, what would you like to tell our winners today, and also all the participants, even if they didn't win?
Okay, thank you, Mona. Thank you all so much for having me today. It's really my pleasure being with very productive, energetic team. Like I want to congratulate not just like the winners, but everyone for this positive energy that you all have. And you're like inspired me more and more, and like telling me that there are like a lot of like still like there are a lot of things that we could achieve all together. So so congrats for everyone, and I would love like to help anyone who would like to expand their ideas, working on like funding opportunities and so on. Well, I manage a makerspace here in the US for like almost now 5 years, and we had like a lot of projects that we worked like with students, entrepreneurs, innovators. And one of like the main project that we had during COVID that we did a face shield production project, and we got funding from different donors. And then, but the students or college students, they implemented or like did the whole project by themselves, planning, fundraising, everything from scratch. And that's like a great example that we can really use for like our like collaboration, or with our collaboration with Mona and with Shabab Lab as well. Also, I worked with a lot of students, high school students or like college students, into like to really like give them the opportunity to work on their interest. And that's what like really attracts me in Shabab Lab, that you all like working on your interest rather than what is the donor saying, what like is what is going on. So the thing is that it's really amazing that you all like working on your interests, your needs, community needs, and so on. So thank you all so much for having me again, and I would love to really work with everyone, each of you, to help with expanding your ideas, making it more real to the ground, and even more like connections, fundraising, anything related to support these projects. And I will leave my contact, like my LinkedIn link in the chat. And I'm looking forward to work with Mona, Yasmin, with everyone as well in near future to build different projects together and to help the Lebanese community as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Yusuf, for your extended support. And we know that this is genuine and you've been doing this for a while with all Arab youth. And we hope that we build a stronger community of people like you and like our alumni now and our young participants who are all about making a difference, making a change. And as Sarah mentioned, we cannot do this except if we work hand in hand in partnership all together. So this is our message today. We want to work all together to make this world a better place. We want to use technology for good, and we want to use entrepreneurship for the betterment of humanity and of society. This is why we have created Shabab Lab. And again, I want to congratulate every single team who submitted a project at the end of the program. It's not important whether you won or not. What's important is the skills you've gained, the experience you've had. And what's more important is for you to pursue the journey. And because of that, we are offering free mentorship all around summer for all the teams who would wish to pursue their ideas further, regardless if they won or not. So remember this really well, and I count also on the schools to encourage their students to pursue their ideas and implement them. And we are here to extend mentorship completely for free. And now I would really like to open the floor for any questions, any remarks, anything you would like to share. This is not a one-sided conversation. If the winners or any of the other teams have anything to say at all, we are all ears. We would like to listen to you. We have always, we're trying to get as much as feedback as possible. We're going to be publishing some reports, writing blog posts about the experience, and you are at the center of this experience. It is all about the youth. It is made for the youth, and it is made actually by a youthful team. Maybe I'm the only exception on the team. However, we have this startup and youth spirit, and we make sure that we always walk the talk and do as we preach. So if you have any questions or anything at all, we are all ears. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It has been really a pleasure seeing so much support from the ecosystem and from the educational and academic institutions, and we only hope that we can spread this message further and wider as we expand our efforts to the entire Arab region. So we are all ears. Kindly raise your hand if you have any intervention and you would like to hear what you would like to say. Thank you again, everyone.
I would like to thank you very much, guys, for the program, and I think something went wrong.
Thank you, Ali. And if I would really like to see your faces. I mean, one of the best things that happened to me actually, at one point I was having ice cream at Taj Al Muluk on Bliss Street, and one of the Shabab Lab students from IC was passing by and he waved to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. So although we've been seeing each other like only virtually, and most of it was asynchronous, it's always great to recognize the faces. So don't be shy to open your camera and speak up. And thank you for all the messages on the chat and all the encouraging words. It really means a lot to us. And we are keen on building more partnerships, more collaborations in order to, again, bring our message as high and as far as possible so that we really make the change that we want to see in the world. So any more interventions, questions, anything at all before we close it for today? And of course, you can always see this recording. It's already on Facebook, and we will be posting it to our Shabab Lab YouTube channel very soon. And as for the certificates, I believe that your participation certificates were already sent to you on your email, and the award certificates will also be sent to you by tomorrow. One last thing would be make sure you follow us on social media. I'm gonna share my screen one last time and ask you all to share, to show us some love on our social media channels. And if you would like to post anything about today, about your certificate, the win, the keynote speakers, or anything at all, make sure to tag us. And again, we are present on all social media platforms and would be more than happy to see you there. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Mona. Same to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.